Hello and welcome to another IG Live. Now I'm going to be talking to longtime supporter and friend of Read Your World and an amazing author, Deedee Cummings. And many of you already know her from her Kayla, a Modern Day Princess series, or you may know her for her Christmas series, In the Nick of Time. Today we're going to be talking about the In the Nick of Time series. There's In the Nick of Time and In the Nick of Time 2. And now, just in the nick of time for Christmas, coming up soon, we have another book, although, as we'll talk about, it's perfect for any time of year, not just Christmas. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's always so good to talk with you.
Good to see you. I messed up. I thought I was supposed to be on at 1 o'clock, so I might only have about 10 minutes before I get back to my therapy schedule.
Oh, sorry. I think
No,
because we
it's,
used to do them at when
yeah,
we were Makeaway Media was at 1 o'clock.
yeah.
But it's
Well, you
okay.
warned me. I went back and looked at everything. You warned me. I knew I should have known it was 2 o'clock, so
You know,
I
I
messed up.
just did that with somebody this week also, but about the dates, not the time. Even
Yeah,
though it was all there in the emails, for some reason I had in my mind different. Anyway, but that's
yeah,
not why we're here. We're
yeah.
here to talk about your wonderful new book, which just launched. Is it now been 2 days? 2 days?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
only been 2 days. Yeah, it's only been 2 days, and I'm so excited about Hope in the Nick of Time. It's just an absolutely beautiful book. I'm so proud of the whole series, which you can get the whole series now in hardcover. It's a beautiful series. I can't believe how far I've come. This was 2019, and Charlene, the illustrator, reminded me, I didn't even realize this was 2019, 2022 and 2025. So for some reason, these all came out like 3 years apart.
I didn't even realize it had been 3 years since the second one came out. I would thought
Yeah,
it was maybe a year, maybe 2 years
yeah.
ago.
And just look at these illustrations. I mean, Charlene is just so amazing with her artwork, and there's just so many beautiful scenes. This one takes place in New York City.
Mm.
So there's all kinds of scenes from New York around the holidays. And like you said, I heard you say this is one of my favorites, Radio City Music Hall. If you've ever been to Radio City or seen it, you know that this is like spot on what she did with, and there's like the little pedicabs they have in New York.
The
Um,
details.
but the imagery, I heard you say that um, even though this is considered a holiday book, it's a book that you can enjoy year round, and that's the truth. It has a year round universal message of hope, which is something that's really lacking in a lot of people, and especially in kids right now.
Well, let's get into that because I know you said you don't have that much time. That I think this book is about what so many of us go through, and of course, so many kids go through, where you just have a day where nothing seems to go right.
Yeah.
Um, so, how does your book help kids not, learn how to shift their perspective and find the joy, find the hope?
Yeah, I talk about hoping skills in this book for the first time ever, which is a concept that kind of came to me after, as a therapist, I learned, and I know I was saying this the other day on Makeaway Media, that a lot of times on Makeaway Media and Read Your World, we tend to talk about the warm and fuzzy topics, and I know that this is not a warm and fuzzy topic, but as a therapist, I recently learned a very startling statistic that suicide is now the second leading cause of death for children from ages 10 to 14. Number two, the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 14. And while I was writing this book right here in Louisville, a 12-year-old boy died by suicide. And the reason why, coping skills are very important, and that's therapeutic, and we learn that in therapy. We learn everybody has their own coping skills. But the thing that we are not teaching children is hoping skills,
Mm.
how to hope, and that hope is a skill, and that you can grow hope as a skill the same way you can grow a muscle.
Mm.
Children need to understand how to see past today. At 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, you can't begin to know how long your life will be and
Right.
how many gifts will come your way. I think about Michael Threets, who I really admire, and he's coming to the Louisville Book Festival next weekend, which is unbelievable.
And
But he,
just picked to be the new host for Reading Rainbow.
yeah,
So got to
he
meet him here.
he is very vocal about his struggles with mental health.
Right.
And, he talks about how his mind lies to him and how suicide has spoken to him in the past. And just think if he had believed that lie in his mind um, and died by suicide, he would not be experiencing the blessings that he is right now and the blessing that he is to everyone else
Yes.
who meets him and comes into contact with him and hears his story and is inspired by him. If he weren't here, he would not be just a couple days ago announced as the new host of the rebooted Reading Rainbow.
Right. I
And it,
mean, he's the kind of person that I just see his picture pop up in my feed. I don't even
yeah,
need to see what he says. I don't need to read the caption. Just
yeah,
seeing his face,
yeah,
I just smile. It just
yeah,
brightens the day. And
yeah.
like you said, that we would all be missing out on that if
We would be missing out on that had the disease that is suicide won. It's a disease.
mm,
I'm, asking, there's a shift in language that we not say committed suicide anymore because that's like an act that someone takes, like a decision, when really what people are dying of is the disease of depression, which is a lie. It's like a cancer. It eats away at your mind and it lies to your mind. And so Michael Breitz is just a really wonderful example of someone who worked hard on his hoping skill
mm,
so that he could be here to see tomorrow. And
right.
we have got to teach kids that. And so that's why this book is so important because it talks about a kid that has a bad day, just like we all do. And he wants to just pack it all up. And, we don't directly talk about suicide in the book because the book is really for kids about 6 to 10, although, as well as I do, picture books can be enjoyed at any age. Um, but we don't use the word suicide in the book, but it is about teaching those kids who are entering that age range, 10 to 14, teaching them the skills that they need to survive this life.
Right. And I mean, I think that's so interesting because you make the point that, sorry,
That's okay.
that it's a skill, not a feeling, which I think is different than how most of us grew up thinking about it. Hope is just something you had or you didn't, you feel
Yes.
or you don't. So
Mhm.
this is like a shift in mentality. Think of it as a skill that you can learn and you can practice. Can you talk more
Mhm.
about that?
Yes. You're absolutely right. We have all been taught, we've all grown up to believe that you either have hope or you don't. You either feel hopeful or you don't feel hopeful. And what I'm asking us to do is shift the way we talk about hope and make it something that you know that you have all the time. You have hope and you have joy all the time. We might not feel hopeful, we might not feel joyful, but that doesn't mean that we don't have hope and joy. And when you're not feeling hopeful and joyful, that's the time when you really, really, really need to make sure that you're pushing yourself to work on things that you can do that instill more hope and joy in your life. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in that rut and it's going to be hard to get back to um, the feeling that you can see tomorrow, that there is more waiting here for you, that life is bigger than this one moment. So there are many things you can do to work on your hoping skill. In the book, Nick has trouble seeing hope. Everywhere he looks, things look hopeless. So he becomes the hope.
Mm. I love that. It's such an empowering message for kids. What do you want them to take away from this book?
I want them to take away how powerful they are, how much control they have over bad days in their mind. A lot of times bad days feel really bad, but if we're able to talk about them and put them in a different perspective, we see that not necessarily the things we experience. So this is not toxic positivity. I'm not saying it could be worse. It's not as bad as you think it is. I'm saying when you put that day in the perspective of a long life, you begin to put pieces of the life puzzle together that show you exactly why you were meant to be the person who was in that time and that space at that moment. And if you don't have those experiences and aren't able to put those pieces of that puzzle together, it makes it harder for you to see the power and the purpose that is your life, the gift that is your life. And it makes it easier for that lie in your mind that tells you that you're not really that special.
Mm.
No one's going to miss you if you're not here. It would just be easier if, nobody had to deal with you anymore.
Right.
Those are lies that your mind tells you when you're fighting depression. And we have to teach kids how to use hope as a skill to talk back to
Mm.
that voice.
I love that. And something I know you've talked about a lot is that having a book where the kids in the book look like you,
Hmm.
that helps kids connect to it, and especially a book like yours that's teaching them like these hoping skills.
Yeah.
And uh, what difference does it make that this is a message coming from a little brown boy,
Yeah.
that he's the one going through this and he's the
Yeah.
one that's connecting with what is the difference that makes for
Yeah.
kids?
It makes a huge difference. And a lot of times people will say stuff to me like, oh, I think it's so cute or so sweet that you write books for Black kids. But I write books with Black characters for all
Right.
kids. They're for everybody. And the importance of seeing Black and brown characters in books, because we all know the statistic, if you've been paying any attention to Read Your World for any amount of time, the issue that there is with the lack of diversity in children's publishing. And when Black and brown children read books and don't see characters who look like them, they don't think their story's valid. They
Mhm.
don't think that their story is important or that the world cares about their suffering or their issues and their problems or their joy. And so, how I started writing all these books is because my family loves Christmas. We absolutely love Christmas. We decorate the whole house, although these books are very diverse, even in talking about holidays. So, you don't have to even celebrate Christmas to love these books. But this is how the story started was my family loves Christmas. We always decorate the house. We make all kinds of different cookies. We wrap presents. And I have all of these holiday books at home to read to my children, and I couldn't find one. My favorite storyline, my favorite Christmas storyline is like the Home Alone storyline where a kid gets to help Santa Claus save the day. And there were several stories like that where kids who are white get to help Santa Claus save the day. And I love those stories.
Right.
I don't want those stories to go away. I don't want to replace those stories. I would just like for my little brown boy to see a story where he gets to help or someone that looks like him. My little boy is actually named Nick. That's where the story comes from, In the Nick of Time. But I would just like to see a story where my little boy gets to help Santa save the day. And I think it's important for other kids who look like him and who don't look like him to see that, because kids who look like him that see that story, that builds their esteem. That makes them feel like, oh, I can be the hero in a book. And kids that don't look like Nick, that builds their empathy.
Right.
They can see someone else's perspective and why that is important. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and also just I
yeah.
know you've also made the point that especially having a black boy, I hadn't realized it until you pointed it out, that if you do have a black character in a children's book, chances are it's a girl. And so
Yes.
the black boy is the protagonist was also really different.
Yes, very different. Yeah. And, there's this whole story around Black joy too. When you do find a story with a Black or brown character, a lot of times the stories are really tough. It might be about a kid in foster care, or it might be about a historical figure. It might be a book about Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks, which, again, all those stories are important, but they can't make up the whole bookshelf.
Right.
Your bookshelf has to have some joy
Mhm.
on it. Otherwise, black and brown and white kids grow up thinking that being black is just all about a struggle. And we have to celebrate joyful stories just like other um, people of other backgrounds get to do. So let's add to the stories, not replace them. Let's add more diversity, more life, more of the rainbow.
Right, and especially a holiday book, because I know,
Yeah.
I mean, you were kind of mentioning that, but especially finding books with a Black Santa, you know, that's, it seems like the holiday books are even less diverse
Yeah.
than the wider
Mhm.
genre. Yeah.
And activity books. Activity
Right. Oh,
books
do you want
are.
to talk about that? Because
Yeah.
I was
I
going to.
wish I had one with me. I don't think I have one with me, but I have a new activity book that accompanies the In the Nick of Time series too, which talks more about how you can talk to your kids about hoping skills, how you can help your kids understand what hope really is, and how you can help your kids work on hope and gratitude. The more gratitude that we have, the more that we're able to put problems into perspective in life. And so there aren't a lot of activity books with black and brown characters either. So again, the activity book is not just for black and brown people, it's for everybody.
Yes.
And it is written by a licensed therapist. I'm so proud of this book. And it's really good work. I'm really proud of it. I hope everybody watching checks it out.
Oh, and I want to highlight, I'm glad you mentioned it, but I think people, if they're not aware, they should know that you are a licensed therapist. So that perspective, I mean, not just on the activity book, but in all of your books, the
Yeah.
Kayla books, the In the Nick of the Time, when you're writing these, I love the way they often incorporate activities
Mhm.
into the story. So you see the characters do things that help them with anxiety or frustration, whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And these are things that are coming from the perspective of a licensed therapist
Yeah.
that you can do with your kids. And the activity book, of course, would be
Mhm.
great. Anybody planning some road trips or long airplane rides when you
Yeah.
go to visit relatives over the holidays, this would be perfect to have
Yeah.
them.
And everybody will be impressed that you have your kid off of a screen. Everybody there. How did you get the tablet away?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, so what's next? Do you think that you would do more for this series, or do you have something else in mind for the future?
You know, I when I wrote the first In the Nick of Time book, I didn't plan for it to be a series. So
Mm.
you just never know where life is going to take you. And then I wrote the second one because I realized in the first book, in my mind, I saw a black Santa, but I never showed Santa in the first book. So then I had the idea to write the second book so that I could show a black Santa. That was important to me. And then I didn't plan to write a third book. I didn't plan to do a third book, but there was just this calling on my heart to talk about hope. But I will tell you, a faucet has been turned on with me, and I have started writing books for adults, and I
Yeah.
can't turn the faucet off. So this book just took a very long time to come to production. Charlene and I worked on this book for about 2 years.
Mm.
It doesn't take 2 years to make a book, but for us and our schedules and the storyline, it took about 2 years for us to finish this book. So while I was working on that book, of course, I wrote How to Dream, which is for adults. And then just this week, I got this new book called In the Meantime, and it's Hope, Healing, and Survival for the Tired Heart. So on the Makeaway team, we've been kind of calling this Big Hope and Little Hope.
I love it. I'm
Because
glad you said that because when you're
somebody
talking
noticed,
about
they were like, "Oh, you made Hope in the Nick of Time for adults."
because when we were talking about hope in the nick of time, I was thinking this is a message that we adults also need to hear. So I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and here it is. In the meantime, again, as a therapist, I've had so many people in 2025 come in my office, lay on my couch. They just feel defeated. They feel tired. They feel deflated. They feel unheard, unseen, confused, angry. And, I know a lot of adults who are searching for hope and they don't know that they already have it.
Hmm.
They just need to nurture it.
Right. And where can people go to find your books?
All of my books are, because I publish through Ingram Spark, they naturally end up at Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org. I know a lot of people want to shop there. They're on Amazon. I didn't even publish the last one on Amazon, and Ingram Spark somehow or someone through from Ingram Spark pushed them to Amazon. There's craziness going on in the book world right now because there's a lot of people selling books on Amazon that aren't the authors.
I've
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah, it's a lot of craziness. So you can find my books just about anywhere, whether I put them there or not.
Well, but it's with you buy it off of Amazon, you're still getting the money from it, right?
Buy from Makeaway Media or Cummings Consulting. It really should be Makeaway Media, but my overall company name is Cummings Consulting. So sometimes Amazon shows it as Cummings. But yeah, if you buy from Cummings Consulting or Makeaway Media, or if you buy from Amazon.com, Amazon will have their own listings too, because a lot of people forget that Amazon started as a bookstore.
Right.
Amazon was like a Barnes and Noble. So Amazon sells books just like Barnes and Noble does. If you buy from any of those sources, you'll be buying from me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to take away too much of your time because I know this is a little
Yeah.
different than you had expected, but thank you
That's
so
okay.
much for coming and talking with us. And you want to hold up one more time? I have these if you want to. I have to point out that if you look at Nick, that's one of the things that I love that Charlene has done is you see him age. And
Yeah.
he is like he's a really little boy growing up, and now he looks so much older in the new book and new
Yeah.
hairstyle. I mean, she just does such a
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Charlene. She's actually not a children's book illustrator. She's actually a fine artist.
Yes.
Um, and so I'm just so blessed that she has been willing to be the illustrator for my books. But, her attention to detail. This is when Nick and his family first arrive in New York and they're looking out the taxi cab window, and everybody in New York is looking so grumpy. And he's kind of like, why did we come here? But, I love the way she's done his natural twist. And, she just, she's she's a godsend as an illustrator, and she just brings my stories to life. Her pictures have a story in the pictures, so it's a beautiful story, and the illustrations make it even more beautiful.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about that in previous interviews, how
Yeah,
she'll incorporate little details or
yeah,
little things that you really need to look at the
yeah,
illustrations to get kind of the extra little detail.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's
Thank
always
you,
a pleasure to talk with you, and we appreciate all the support we get from you and Makeaway
thank you,
Media, and
thank
we're
you.
excited to help share the word about your latest book.
I appreciate our partnership very much. Thank you for everything you all do for me too.
Yeah. All right, and thank you all for watching. As always, this will be up on Instagram and later on our YouTube channel. So bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.